Westbrook here, and for those of you who know me really well, you know I write a column called My Voice, Your Choice. You want to check that out? You want to give it a read? Check out the link below. But just wait. If you want me to read you my column, yeah, you heard correctly, then stay tuned, because that's exactly what I'm going to do on this video. This is the video blogum of my column. My voice, your choice, coming at you right here and now. What's the question this week? Here it is. I'm really going through a lot. There's no one I can talk to. I'm hating myself by the second. My self-esteem out of 10 is like a 1. I just want someone to care about me. What should I do? Well, first of all, I want to say to you, thank you so much for being real, for being honest, because we have all felt something similar to this before. But I want you to know that you are important and that you matter. Sometimes other people can't always provide that sense of reassurance, that support that we really desire. But please remember that because you were born, because you are here, it means you matter and that the world needs you, your unique self. Let me share with you something. I didn't always believe in me. I didn't always have the confidence that I've chosen to have right now. I worried so much about what other people thought of me that I would cry myself to sleep every night. Crying myself to sleep every night. Oh, so much pain. My heart hurts so much. That's why I wrote that song, because it's so true. Never walk away. Crying myself to sleep every night. Sure, I had great friends, but I always worried that maybe they didn't really like me, that maybe I wasn't good enough. After attending life courses at a really young age, my mom started me out at 11, I realized that the day my dad left, I can remember that day so clearly in my mind. He left without saying goodbye. I had taken that so personally. You know, I made it mean that maybe there was something wrong with me. I decided to believe that I wasn't good enough. Now, I didn't know that at the time, but looking back, I can see that that moment he left, I decided I wasn't good enough. So I was always trying to be accepted by others, you know, to prove that I was okay, to prove that I was lovable. I was always trying to fill that hole from my dad leaving, by having loads of friends, loads of singing gigs, but I soon realized that no matter how many friends I had, how many singing gigs I had, it just wasn't enough. Because that hole needed to be filled from me and only from me. From me choosing to love who I was. But first, I need to forgive my dad. Forgive him for leaving without telling me what was really happening. Now, forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. Forgiveness is about saying, I'm not willing to carry around the pain, the hurt, the bitterness any longer, because it's just wearing heavy on who I am. I'm tired of crying myself to sleep every night. After forgiving him, which in all honesty didn't just happen overnight, but that's another column, that's another video blogum, I now had to re-choose my belief about myself and about what I was making my dad leaving mean. Think about a time for you, a circumstance where you took it personally, where you made it mean that there was something wrong with you. I started to see that there was something wrong with me. It was that my dad brushed everything under the carpet, you know, instead of dealing with it. It was too scary for him. I started to see that even though I didn't like how my dad handled his leaving, in his mind, he was doing the right thing. I got to see that we all have different ideas of what's right, what's wrong, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Now, it wasn't always easy to make the choice to change my outlook. Even though I didn't enjoy crying myself to sleep every night, I got used to it. You know, I got into that comfort zone. We get used to the same thing, even though you look back and you think, oh, I don't like that, but for some weird reason it feels comfortable. I decided, though, one day I had had enough. I had enough of blaming my dad for everything. You know, it's easy to play the blame game. Well, if you didn't do that to me, I wouldn't have said this. If I lived in that house, had that talent, had those looks, had that money, it's easy to blame other people for where we're at and give away our power, give away our you power. Well, I wanted that back. I wanted to have power in my life and to feel happy and stop crying myself to sleep every night. I didn't want to be comfortable with that anymore. I couldn't change the circumstance. You know, I couldn't change what happened, but I could change how I saw it. So I decided to use my you power, my own personal power, to choose and make new choices. You know, start believing in myself, start believing I was good enough, regardless of my dad leaving. So I started to choose to write. I was writing my journal, put down my pain, my frustration, my upset. I wanted to get all my feelings out, pour my emotions out on paper, you know, declutter my mind instead of having it rolling around up there all the time. I started to write about how I wanted to feel about my life, how I wanted to feel about my dad and myself. I started to write about the choices that I would have to make in order to obtain that new outlook that I really desired. And then I started to write about what I wanted to focus on. You know, what I needed to focus on in order to really love my life and love myself. About focus, the crazy, awesome things about focus is that we have the power to choose our focus. So I wanted to start focusing on the qualities I did love about my dad. And for me, that was his humor. He was crazy funny. Sure, I had a long list of negative things I could focus on that were driving me crazy. And it's easy sometimes to focus on those negative things. But I was tired of blaming my dad for everything. I was tired of being in pain. So I started to focus on that humor that I loved about him. I also started to focus on the things that I loved about myself. You know, focus on the things that you love about yourself. Maybe there's just one or two things you can think of, but that's a start. That's a start. Keep working on that. Keep focusing on that. And then I started to focus on the things in my life I was grateful for. You know, health, clothing, chocolate. Oh, yeah. Every time my mind would start focusing on that old way of thinking, I would steer it back to the things in my life that I was grateful for. Even if that list seemed short at the time. You still have the power to choose your focus. Since I had written all the things that I was grateful for down on a piece of paper, I could always refer back to that piece of paper to remind me. Because let's face it, we all need reminders because it's easy to forget. Because those negative thoughts, those negative things to focus on can creep into our minds really super easy. So we need that piece of paper, you know, to keep it in our pocket, keep it in our wallet, keep it in your binder to remind you of everything you're grateful for. Don't want to live at a war with myself. This helps stop that war within yourself and that war within your life. Believing you're good enough and changing your focus and choosing that focus every single day. That's your you power, and that's going to help you to move through, to take your self-esteem to a 1 to a 10. I'm not saying it's easy, but what I am saying is that you are worth it. And one of the most amazing, powerful choices you can make in your life is to choose you. Even if you have to choose it every second of every day, choosing your focus and your thoughts wisely is so important and makes all the difference. It will get easier. Total self-worth and self-esteem happens by taking your life that one good choice at a time so you can get to that end result, get to that 10 on your self-esteem scale. So until next time, this is my voice, but this is your life. This is your choice.